Hey, I'm JD. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe. Please hit like. Today I want to talk just briefly on timing machines. So I have this timing machine microphone that I just purchased recently, and it is US based. So it's the same as the microphone that you find on the Witchy 1900 or 1000 that I also have that I'm going to show you. The problem with this microphone is it's too darn good. So it's USB based, so you plug it into your computer. I've tried everything to correct its problem. Its main problem is that the amplification is too good. So when I put a watch like this on it, it's not too bad. But if I grab one of my old pocket watches like this beast here, and I put this on it, it's so loud that it overdrives the microphone for this. So this does actually give you the ability to put the watch in 6 positions. So it'll even do an angled position, which is excellent, right? And I've got 2 pieces of software that I use to do timing on this watch. I'll show both of them to you. And then I'll basically, my reference for the timing is the Witchy 1900, and I'm probably not pronouncing it right, but I'm looking over there because that's where it's sitting, right? So that's my atypical traditional one. I'll just show this to you for a second. So this is the WEISHE. So I just call it a Witchy. The Witchy 1900 multi-function time grapher. There you go. So when I test the time on this, and I'll just use a watch this time to show you how this works. So I've got here a very beautiful Bulova Marine Star watch that I've owned for a little while now. Just a gorgeous watch with an open heart on it, so you can see the balance working. Rose gold, and if you want to know where I got it, don't bother calling me because I can't remember. So I'll put this in the timing machine, and when you put this in the timing machine, you always make sure the crown is touching the transducer. So I'm going to just edge this over like this. So there's the crown, and I'm going to put this in and try not to scratch anything. So the crown is touching the transducer, which is the metal end here, right? So the watch is in there right now. So turn this on with a toggle switch. So that's turned on right now, and press the red button. I'll just move some stuff out of the way so you can see what's going on here. Just move it over just a bit. Now, I'm going to make a bold assumption that the lift angle here is 52. So, otherwise I would change the lift angle on this. So there it is, booting up. And it's having a look at this watch. And this watch should be running fairly well with a decent amplitude. So there it is there. It's minus 23 seconds a day. In face-up position, the amplitude is 277, which is really good. The beat error is 0.5. And on these watches, you can very easily correct the beat error because it's a modern watch. I believe this has an ETA movement. Let me turn this off. Nah, it doesn't get any better. So it's got an ETA movement in it, I believe, and it's a 21,600 lift angle 52. So my reference point is about 290, we'll say. So plus 12, 290, beat error of 0.5. See if I can remember that. So now I'm running the eTimer software. So this is, look it up, eTimer Watch Escapement Analyzer software. And this software is really cool. So I love it. And it's showing an amplitude, probably because I'm talking, but it's around 270, 276, 279. So it's pretty close to what the other one was saying. And it's got a beat error of 0.5. It's varying a bit here, but it's pretty close to the other one is saying, and the rate of plus 17, again, pretty close. It's changing a bit. So the beauty behind this software is you can actually do 5-position timing on it. The lock threshold is probably a bit high. If I revise the lock threshold here and move that down, the numbers do change. So if I put it down to 4, for example, then I get a number that's a bit closer, I think, than what I had before. So, yeah. But you do get inaccuracies because it's in the band of where the signal noise is. So you want to raise it up to around 13, I think, should be fine, and that's going to give you more accurate results. So this is fairly good, fairly accurate, except the beat error, and I'm talking right now, so it's probably interfering with the actual data. See, 0.5, that's kind of what I had before. The amplitude's a bit off, but it does work. So the microphone here that I purchased from China, from AliExpress, does work in this software. And this allows me to do timing in all positions. And to do timing in all positions, I'll stop it for a second here, and you open the settings here for this, and it says basically I'm going to be timing it dial up, pennant right, pennant up, pennant left, dial down. So that's 5 positions, which is good enough. There are 6 positions. You can put it at an angle as well, but I have it set for 5, and I have it old, clicked. If you clicked new, I think it just does 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, whatever. So I'm good with the old. It's got positional averaging here, time and position. You can get smoothing here. I don't need that for this particular thing. I'm pointing to the correct microphone here, microphone 3 down below, and that's direct USB microphone. I can provide an output channel for ticking away, and then this will actually go to a couple of places to sync it. So, and this is timegoogle.com for syncing the whole thing, and there's all kinds of stuff. But anyway, if you get if you get eTimer software, it's not cheap, but it's the best stuff out there, and it allows you to analyze the escapement itself. So I'll just cancel out of here because I have that. And then if I want to do positional timing, I believe I click this here, which then tells me which positions to run this in. So I got to click up here. Yeah, so it's stabilizing position, dial up. So right now it is in dial up, so I just hit run for dial up. I got to click the right screen here. So now it's running this in dial up position, and this will run for 10 seconds, I think. Won't run that long, but I'll do it anyway. So dial up position, and down below in the lower left hand corner you see all the data being averaged out. Once I hit stop, I think it stops on its own, but I can actually hit stop here, and it's saying position 2, right? So I want position 2, which is pennant right. So this would be the pennant, which is the crown. I'm just going to push it this way and pretend that's right. I'm not sure if it's right or not, but we'll do it that way. So it's pennant right, and then I'll hit that again, and I'll let it average out the data. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to have a coffee, just a sip of my coffee. And I'm going to spill it on my cheek here. Why? Because I'm old. Old, I tell you. You remember the movie guy? He'd go, "This summer, one man, barely alive, living on cardboard and water, the mendicant." Anyway, I'm a fool. So there's position 3. I've got to put it in, so it's pennant up in position 3. So that's the crown up. So I've got to figure out how to do that. Crown up would probably be like that. Sorry, I'm not moving things around here a bit, but that's crown up position. So I hit run, and this microphone is actually really high quality. Now I put some writing on the side of it here that said wave light input 7. So I tried to regulate the sound so it would work with a pocket watch, but it really doesn't work. It doesn't give you a good amplitude with the pocket watch, amplitude determination. It gives you a great rate and a great beat error, but for some reason the amplitude is just overdriving the software, and it won't work. So pennant left now, so pennant left would be, how the heck do I do that? Let me see, that was pennant left right there, I think. Unless that was pennant right. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm going to hit run anyway. We're going to hit run anyway. So, and I do have a little bit of a cold. And like my father says, and he's almost 91, and he said, My nose needs to be in the Olympics because it's excellent at running. Pause. Laugh. Anyway, the old man is funny as hell. So the beat air is really good here. The amplitude is not so great. And this is a nice new watch. So maybe if I wound it, it's on automatic, so it should be wound fully, but the amplitude is kind of low here, 206. So that's, and then the last one is dialed down. So I can flip this like this, and that's in the dial down position, and hit run. Run! Run! So this is e-timer software. So this is the Cadillac of watchmaker software. And there's a bunch of other guys on the on YouTube that are watchmakers who recommend using this software as well. Because if you're analyzing, say, a problem with a loose jewel on a pallet fork, it'll show. So it also has the trace lines here. If you look up in the up here, you can see the actual trace lines. And now it's asking me to annotate this. So data timer, I had a guy named Wayne whose watch I did, and you can basically title this thing. So I'll just title this as test. I need to get a keyboard here to do this. So this would be timer. And I always do a V1, timer test V1, and timer data. And I'll do timer test V1 here, file name. And then just save it. So it's under my documents, YouTube, videos, e-timer data, timer test. So I should be able to pull that up. So of note here, I don't really need to pull it up because we can look at it here, right? So I have the positional data here, and I have the rates of plus 15 dialed up, plus 8, plus 7, plus 2, and plus 12. I won't bother with the decimals. And the amplitudes vary, so the biggest amplitude variance is shown down here. So if you look at the deltas, the beat error is not too bad here. And these are the durations that it was measuring, 16.66. Not sure where that number came from. But the deltas are kind of what I'm looking at. So the delta in rate from the highest to the lowest is 13.44. I think anything under 10 would be good, so I'd probably have to bring this thing down. And if I opened it up and brought it down, I could easily get this thing sweeping between 0 plus or minus 6 or 7, probably between 0. So so it's saying the delta, the rate delta is 2.77 seconds per day. So it's going to run fast if you're wearing it. And then this is rate down, and this is rate P. I'm not sure what rate P means. You guys can tell me. I could look it up in the documentation and not be such a lazy SOB. But anyway, it's 6.92. But the amplitude delta here is 63, so that's pretty high for an amplitude delta between the different positions. But really I'm concerned with a wristwatch with pennant right and dial up and pennant down. Or yeah, pennant down. So pennant up, pennant right, pennant. So I'm looking at when my wrist is hanging down is what I'd be looking at. So I'd have to measure pennant down and then dial up when you're sitting on a desk with your hand like this. So there's really only 3 positions that matter here. But pennant down is when you're walking around, so that's neither either pennant right or pennant left. So I have pennant up, right, but it really should have been pennant down. So anyway, that's that. And then the means of the average, the mean, if you do your math and you know what a mean is. So the mean is a 9-second rate delta. The beat error is not too bad at 0.68. The amplitude at 2.25 in 5 positions. So that's this software. I'm going to show you one more piece of software, and then we're going to have a little chat at the end. So that's that. And you can see it runs a strip here, and you can basically do a visual of the beat error by looking at the left and right here, because it's a traditional machine it's trying to emulate, right? And this circle with the lines through it is really telling you whether it's running slow or fast, right? So this software is very high-end, works really well on watches, and with this particular made in China device, which cost me about $100 Canadian, so it's probably a lot cheaper if you're in the US. It's probably going to cost you about $60 after you get it from China. So unless you got those tariffs. Pause 2, 3, and you can comment with me on these tariffs if you think they make any sense. Ooh, which they don't. Anyway, so I don't want to get political here, but I think that somebody made a really dumb move. But anyway, so I'm going to stop this and put the other software up. So this software is called Watch-O-Scope. As you can see in the top, Watch-O-Scope, version 1.4. This stuff is really good. It allows you to adjust where you clip the actual waveform. So when you click on it, it may not give me a waveform. Yeah, there we go. So it's actually giving me a waveform. So it's reading this watch right now. So it's pointing to the right input. So I'm going to do this and show you the settings. So the settings are pretty basic on this thing. So it gives you an auto beat rate, which is what I'm assuming a 52-degree lift angle. You should look that up for your watch. Averaging period of 10 seconds is good enough. It says pause at the end of averaging period. Don't need to do that. Adjust thresholds manually. If I do this and I click go, there's a line in there for the thresholds where I can actually adjust the thresholds. So now it's doing presetting the levels and detecting the rate. So here it's listening to the watch, and it's got filters inside that let you do that. Now the difference here is you've got to use your keyboard up and down arrows here, and I'm just going to press on my keyboard. And you see that line going down, and that shows where it's going to clip the signal, right? And then you hit your space bar, and away it goes measuring. So in this case, it's measuring this watch. It's looking pretty much the same as the other software. You're looking at a beat error of 0.5. The other software is probably averaging differently, and it was much more accurate, but this is pretty darn good. And it's looking at a daily rate, 15 seconds per day, and it's showing you the difference between the two lines. Now here, there's obviously some problems here with the escapement. There might be a tooth problem or something, because it looks a little bit dirty on the top and clean on the bottom. So it's not really bad, but it's not really great. So it's 21.6 here, and this will do positional as well. So if I run positional on this, let me stop this for a second here, and I believe the positional is here. So it's going to tell me, I'm going to tell it dial up, right? And I'm not going to mark it anywhere, so I'm going to do dial up, face up. I want dial up. That's good. Dial up. So I'm going to say OK, and then hit go. And this is, again, it's adjusting the levels, so it's listening to the mic saying what I got, right? And I put it on automatic, which I probably shouldn't have, but anyway, let me press, or put it on manual, which I probably shouldn't have, but I just press the space bar and away it goes. I can change that, but I didn't bother. So it's measuring it right now. I'll wait a few seconds and stop it, because I don't believe there's a measuring time in there, but there might be, but I don't believe there is. So I'm looking at it settling down, and once it's settled down a bit, I'll just stop it. And it looks like it runs fast in the dial-up position. So let me just let me see if hit pause does it for me. And pause works. So hit pause, and then I can flip this around to be let's say crown right, like that, and then hit OK, and then hit unpause it. Space bar. I don't need to do that. It'll automatically do this if I don't say do it manually, right? But I don't want to disrupt this particular setting here. And there it goes again. The amplitude looks pretty good at 221. 222. So this is a crown right or pennant right, one or the other. So it's still running a bit fast here again, and the beat error is not as good at an angle. So I'm going to pause this baby again, like this, and then I'm going to go in here. That's crown right, and let me see. No, I didn't do crown down last time, right? I did crown, I'll do crown left. So that was crown right, so I got to make the crown point in the other direction here. There we go. That's crown left, and I'll resume and press the button and let it do its measurement. That's crown left. Seems like I'm getting a much better amplitude with crown left. And my rate looks pretty good too. So when I'm wearing the watch, is it crown left when I'm wearing it? Let me think. It might be actually. I think it is crown left when I'm putting the watch on my wrist. I think it's pointing this way, which is, I hear it's called crown right, but if I'm just measuring it, we'll see what happens here. So it's minus, plus, minus, so the rate's perfect in that position. So if I'm sitting there at my desk in my office and my hands down like this, it's keeping pretty good time. The bead error is really good, 0.6. I did a job recently for a guy named Wayne, if Wayne's out there listening, and I got his bead error to 0 on his pocket watch. And it was like, and I was farting around with the bead error. I probably took that friggin' escapement, or the balance actually, out of the watch about 10 times and adjusted the collet to get the bead error right, but I was stubborn as heck, and I finally got it to where I wanted it to be. So let me pause again and jump into here, and that's crown left. Now I'd like to do dial down, so that's dial down there. I like to dial it down a bit. There we go. So that's dialed down, and I got to press the button here. It's stabilizing, and there we go. So that's the rate at dial down. Now if I'm lucky, I'll be able to show you both software values and see if they're close. So this watchoscope runs around 60 bucks, maybe Canadian, probably 40 bucks US, maybe 50 bucks US, I think. It's really good. It's reasonable. It doesn't take a lot of processing power, so you can put it on your laptop or your lower end computer. It works really well. I have no issue with it at all. And it works with this particular microphone, which is nice, and it works with any other microphone, so it seems to dampen nicely the signal. So let me say, okay, that's it. And I think I had, that's it. Is that it? Let me look here. That was dial down. So I did up, down, I did right, left, and I just didn't do crown up. That's the last one I didn't do. So let me see if I can point that crown up. Do I know how to do that? All right, that's, I think the art of making this thing work is the hardest part. So this is, flip this around like that, that's crown up. There we go. Hit OK, and then hit again, and then press that space bar. I should have put it in auto, but I'm an idiot, so I didn't do it. So there you go. So amplitude seems to be good. The rate seems to be pushing up a bit high. And in a watch, it's really easy to adjust the rate, and it's really easy to adjust the bead error in a watch. And if you want me to show you how to do that, I can do that. Just ask for it, and I'll put it in another video, but there's other videos online that shows how to do that properly. And in these watches, you're not playing with balance screws and stuff like that usually. You're not, because the balances are smaller, and I think maybe if you have an old Rolex, you're playing with the balance screws, but the new modern watches don't have balance screws. So there you go. So that's it. I'm going to stop this now, stop this nonsense, and I'm going to show you the report. So there's the report, and I'm pull this over here a bit. And so what is it saying? It's saying that the averaging, if I look at averaging, these are the numbers. The amplitudes look pretty good, and the averaging for these numbers, amplitude average is 245. This is a weighted average. I guess I could put a weighting in there. The neat thing about this, I can print the traces to a PDF file, which is really cool. And then the minimum and maximum are here, and then the deviation. So the maximum in amplitude was plus 17 seconds today, which is kind of the same as the other one. And the maximum in beat error was 0.9. So these are varying, but the average is 0.6. So I'm going to print this to a file so I can bring both those files up. All right, folks, here's the data. So with the Watchoscope, which is the top one here, the dial-up averaging, the daily rate dial-up was 14, and with my e-timer it was 15.45. So it was down here, 15.45, and here it was 14 seconds a day. So the amplitude with the e-timer was 270, Watchoscope was 263. It's close, right? And the beat error was 0.51, and on the Watchoscope was 0.5. It's averaging it up or down, I think, so it's not putting the 0.1 in there. And then crown right, so which is pennant right, is 8. So there's a big difference here. This is 8.93 with the e-timer, and this one was crown right was 17 seconds a day. And also an amplitude of 264, and this one was 211, so big difference there. The pennant up position, which would be crown up, was 16. This one was 12 on the e-timer, so it's a big difference there. The rate of 256 versus 234 on e-timer, so a much higher rate seen here. And dialed down was 2.01 or 2.1 on the Watchoscope, and it was 2.01, which is pretty accurate. But again, the amplitude for the e-timer was picking it up at 206. So I think that's probably not as accurate as the other, as Watchoscope for that particular amplitude. So maybe changing the lock level would change my amplitude on there. So I have to look into the lock level that's in there, and I showed you that signal in the lock level and where it cuts the signal. So to listen to it. So crown left 13, which is pennant left at +1 in the e-timer, but it's 13 here. So the averaging, let's look at the averaging. So the averaging for the means under e-timer for the rate was 9.34. So and it's plus 9.34. So the averaging here was plus 12 seconds a day. For the amplitude, the averaging was 245 for the Watchoscope, and the averaging was 225. It was a lot lower. Again, I think where the cut happens is a big difference. But the averaging is pretty much the same for the beat error, 0.6. So 0.9 and 0.6, they're pretty close. They're 3 seconds a day off from the rate and the beat error perspective. And the deviation between them, which is really useful if you're actually poising pocket watch balance, then that makes a difference, right? So, and I can do a pocket watch if I use a different way of listening to the pocket watch, or I can just basically use my multifunction and write the numbers down. So I can use my witchy multifunction, but you can see there's a difference between the two, but the rate difference isn't too bad, and the beat error is absolutely good here. And this is the data for the two, and you can look at the data and see how far they're off. The difference between the programs is the Watchoscope is more tolerant to amplitude deviations or amplitude issues with respect to the microphone you have set up than the e-timer, and the actual e-timer software is better for actually seeing the actual problems on your watch. So if you want to diagnose a problem on the pallet fork or the escapement in some area, or the tooth on the escapement wheel or something, you're going to see this a lot clearer with e-timer to diagnose the issue. So there's some videos on how to use e-timer properly, but you can just go and download the book. I think it's free, and it'll show you the power of the e-timer software. So this is very, very powerful. And I think if you know where to put the locking on that line on e-timer, I think you're going to get a far better result. And once again, just showing you the e-timer. So this is the e-timer software. Once again, If I drag this down a bit, you'll see the commands. Watch Escapement Analyzer version 2.207. This is the most current version that I purchased. And there's the lock threshold right here. So if my lock threshold, the amplitude is actually stronger right now. It looks like it's running stronger than it was before. But the threshold matters, because if I pull this up here, it changes the amplitude. And if I pull it down significantly to 4%, they said it's going to be somewhere between 4 and 12%, then the amplitude changes again. But the rates are pretty accurate, so you can play with it and research on the thresholds here for eTimer if you purchase eTimer. But if you get Watchoscope, which I'll bring up again, so if you get Watchoscope, you're getting the preset level, you're getting the software in there listening to the actual amplitude of your microphone, and you can, this is the same kind of threshold level you saw in eTimer here, where the locking is, and you can use your arrows to bring this down as I'm showing here. You can get to the software here, there we go. Bring it down a bit or up a bit, and then you press the space bar, or you can set it automatically. Let me stop this right now. And go to settings, and I can set this as manual here, point to the right input device. I can do digital filtering on this thing too, so I can, if I need to, narrow the bandwidth for how it's listening, and rate correction per day if I need to, or the scope sweep time in seconds. And the scales for the display, which you don't have to play with. Lift angle, I do auto beat and have the lift angle, so you can pop this down and select the proper lift angle, and the amount of test setting times. So that's all good in this thing. And like I said before, you can do positional timing on it, where you click on this here, and it basically asks you what you want to do first, and then it saves it, and you can print it as a PDF file or send it right to your printer. So it's really good there, and annotated. And that's with the professional version of this. I believe there's a free version of it you can try out. You can also take a picture here of what you're seeing, so it'll take a photo of what you're seeing. And also when you get the outputs in a PDF file, it shows all the graphs as well in the outputs. Now eTimer will do the same darn thing, right? So it'll do that as well. And if you want to do this over time, so this is a long-term pro license only, which this has. This, you can just run this overnight, and this will tell you, it'll save all the data, and it'll just keep running the darn thing until it's done, and create this massive file for you. So that's for running it long overnight. So that's that. So I recommend both. So I recommend the Watchoscope for a quick assessment of your watch. Bam, bam, done. There's the values. Good to go. I do recommend the microphone. Go to AliExpress and look up watch testing microphone. I think that'll get it for you. And with USB. Watch testing microphone, USB, because it has a USB end. I have 2 of them now, because I bought a second one to see if it was better than the other one. They're exactly the same, so there's no difference. The difference is the amplitude when trying to test a pocket watch. It doesn't really work. But let me show you something. One more thing and then we'll end it. Alright, so you can get this device from AliExpress China, which has a USB end here. And let me unwrap it for a sec. Live unwrapping. This is so exciting, right? So you can get this device here and this device. And I'll plug this in. It has the same kind of, it's all 3D printed, I believe, and it has the same similar electronics in it as the very professional one that you see over there. Let me plug this into the USB port here. And so now it's listening to the watch itself. I think this watch timing is really crappy, but I'm going to bring up eTimer, because it seems to do a better job of filtering out the amplitude. So here's eTimer running with this device. And I'll just move it over here. But it's running with this device on this pocket watch. And like I said, I didn't wind it much, but the amplitude is kind of shitty in this pocket watch. The rate is way off. It needs some work, but it's showing the right amplitude. So it's working on this pocket watch, which is really impressive. If I throw another pocket watch in here, let me just grab a bigger pocket watch, wind it a few times. This is a very old American watch, Waltham Watch Company pocket watch that I have. That it's got a little bit of a winding stem issue, but if I put this watch in here and run it, and this mouth on this will open up pretty darn wide. And there you go. So this is this pocket watch in here. It's running around an amplitude of around 200 or 195 face up. Beat error is crappy at 3. The rate's good. And it's detecting the signal perfectly. So it's not overdriving the e-timer software. So this little beastie here only costs about a boot. It only costs around 35 bucks, I think. So see if I can move this over a bit. There we go. So there it is there. So this costs around 35 bucks. You could just hold it in positions, say that's dial up, face down, you can flip it around. It's 3D printed, it works, it's cheap, and it does work for pocket watches. So you may want to get one of these. Again, AliExpress, just look up watch timing microphone and this will pop up. So that's it. So I'm going to end this video right now, and we'll call it a day. I'll bring the microphones, or the various guilty microphones, over here and put them side by each, as they say, and with the e-timer software right there. Let me pull this up a bit here. I'm just doing configuration control on the fly here. So there we go. So that's it. That's the software. That's the these are the devices. So I do recommend getting this. You do watch work, watch repair. This one works perfectly. No problems with watches at all. The minute you put a pocket watch in here, your amplitude numbers are no good. You get one of these, you can measure your amplitudes if you want. If you use this one here with e-timer, it's not too bad on amplitudes. With a watch in, it's perfect. With a pocket watch, it's close, but it still has a bit of issues overdriving the USB digital audio signal. So your computer has to take the USB digital audio and do a digital to analog conversion, like a DAC, on that signal. So I recommend getting one of these. You do a lot of watch work and you want to plug it into your computer and use e-timer or Watchoscope, both good software packages, and just buy one of these for the amplitude so you know what the heck the amplitude is. And there you go. So I'm JD. So again, thanks for watching my channel. Sorry for how long this video is, but I just wanted to go through the struggles I've gone through. I'm not sure what I'll do with the second one of these. I may just keep it. Not sure. Whatever. And I'll talk to you later. Thanks.